Never feel like you're kind of sleepwalking through your own life, seeing the same stuff day in, day out, until you don't even really see it anymore? Well, today, we're going to talk about a really cool artistic technique that's designed to jolt you awake and make you see the entire world with brand new eyes.
So let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly, and I mean truly, saw a stone? Not just glanced at it, your brain labels it stone, and you move on, but actually picked it up, felt its texture, its unique shape, the real weight of it in your hand. Yeah, if you're like me, it's probably been a while.
And you know what? There's a totally logical reason for that. Our brains are these incredible efficiency machines. And to save energy, they basically put anything familiar on autopilot. It's a process called automatization. We stop perceiving and we just recognize. And look, that's super useful when you're driving to work for the 1000th time, but it can also make the world feel a bit faded.
So that's the problem we're starting with, this whole idea of seeing on autopilot. But if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, let's look at a really strange example that flips our whole perspective upside down. Okay, imagine a story. It's about human greed, property, inheritance, the cruelty of whipping another living thing just because you claim to own it. Now, what if that whole story was told by a horse? All of a sudden, these concepts we never question, like my horse or my land, would sound totally bizarre, right? Even kind of ridiculous.
Well, that is exactly what the great Leo Tolstoy did in his story Kostomer. He used a horse's point of view to force us, the readers, to re-examine these ideas we just take for granted. He made the familiar totally strange. And that feeling, that powerful jolt you get, it actually has a name.
Which brings us to our next big question. What in the world is defamiliarization? So the term itself was coined way back in 1917 by this brilliant Russian critic named Viktor Shklovsky. He called it Ostranenie, which literally translates to making strange. What a perfect phrase, right? He laid this whole idea out in his really important essay, Art is Device. So what is it? Put simply, defamiliarization is an artistic move. It's the technique of taking totally common, everyday things and showing them to us in a strange or unfamiliar way. And the whole point is to just shatter our autopilot perception and force us to see them again, like it's the very first time. And Shklovsky himself put it perfectly. He said the purpose of art isn't just to show you stuff you already know, it's to make you truly perceive it. He said art should make forms difficult to actually slow you down and make perception a challenge, because that process, that little bit of struggle to see, that's where the art happens. Okay, so that's the what and the why, but how do artists actually pull this off? How do they make things strange for us?
Well, Shklovsky pointed out that there's a big difference between two types of language. You've got practical language, what we use every day. It's like a shortcut, right? Fast, efficient, gets the point across. But then you have poetic language, which is purposefully not efficient. It's designed to be a little difficult, to be strange, to make you slow down and actually pay attention to the words themselves.
So from that idea, he identified a few key moves in the artist's toolkit. First, like we saw with Tolstoy's horse, is using a totally fresh perspective. A second way is to use unfamiliar language, maybe throwing in foreign words or weird dialects that make you stumble a bit. And a third, and this one is super interesting, is to deliberately mess with the plot. Let's look at that jumbled plot idea. A classic example is this wild novel called Tristram Shandy. Most stories go cause, then effect. Simple. But the author, Lawrence Stern, just throws that rulebook out the window. He'll give you the effect before the cause, he'll get lost on these huge tangents, and it forces you, the reader, to work to put the story together. It makes the simple act of reading a story feel totally new. Now, of course, an idea this powerful didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's actually connected to a whole web of other really big ideas in art and even psychology that people had been thinking about for a long, long time. For instance, way before Shklovsky, the Romantic poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge was talking about something very similar. He said that poetic genius was all about carrying a child's sense of wonder into adulthood, being able to see the incredible novelty in things that have become boring and familiar. You might also hear this concept compared to Bertolt Brecht's famous estrangement effect in theater. They're super close, but there's a key difference. Shklovsky's idea is about the device the artist puts in the work. Brecht's idea is more about the effect on the audience, creating this critical distance so they think about the play's message instead of just getting swept away by emotion. And this brings us to another great connection, Sigmund Freud's concept of the uncanny. You know that creepy, unsettling feeling you get when something is both familiar and strange at the exact same time? Like a robot that looks a little too human? That's the uncanny. And defamiliarization often taps right into that same weird psychological feeling.
So what does this all add up to? What's the end game here? Why is it so important for art to shake us out of our habits and make the world feel strange again?
The writer Anais Nin said it just beautifully. It is the function of art to renew our perception. She says that when we get too familiar with something, we literally stop seeing it. Art's job is to come in, shake everything up, and, like magic, help us see new meaning in it all.
So when you boil it all down, defamiliarization isn't just some fancy term for a literature class. It's getting at a fundamental purpose of art itself. It's a rebellion against that autopilot of daily life. It is a powerful tool designed to wake our brains up and make us experience our own world, our own lives that much more fully.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. I want you to look around your world, your room, your daily commute, the people you see every day. What's one thing in your world that needs to be made strange again?